For decades, historians have operated on a specific timeline for Indian civilization. We are taught that organized, planned urban centers began with Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Claims of advanced societies existing before this era are usually treated with skepticism. Epic texts like the Mahabharata are filed away as moral mythology rather than physical history. This includes the legend of Dwarka. The texts describe Lord Krishna building a utopian city of gold directly on the sea, a metropolis that supposedly vanished beneath the waves following a divine curse. It is a story often dismissed as a fairy tale, but the physical evidence being pulled from the ocean floor suggests these ancient texts may function as a highly accurate geographical blueprint. The first break in the narrative arrived in 1983. Divers began exploring the Arabian Sea off the coast of Gujarat, descending miles below the surface. What they found resting on the seabed challenged the academic status quo, the unmistakable, massive grid of a well-planned urban city. The team documented high walls, clearly defined roads, statues, and carved stone structures. The architecture mimics the complexity of modern urban planning. These runes sit at the exact coordinates where the ancient texts claimed Dwarka once stood. The Bhagavata Purana is incredibly specific about the city's dimensions. It claims that when Krishna was granted land by the sea god, he built a city spanning exactly 12 yojanas. To map these runes, underwater archaeologist Dr. S.R. Rao led extensive expeditions throughout the 1980s and 90s. Rao's team documented a sophisticated structural layout, discovering strong foundational walls, carved pillars, and a complex irrigation system. This layout aligns with the myth's description of a dual city setup, Dwarka acting as an administrative center on the shore, and the island of Beit Dwarka serving as the residential hub. The team also recovered massive stone anchors from the site, identifying the location as a thriving international trade port. The presence of this port infrastructure corroborates the ancient text's descriptions of a massive, functioning metropolis. Establishing that an underwater city exists is only the first of the era of Krishna. This chart illustrates the challenge. By tracking the planets and asteroids mentioned in the Mahabharata, Dr. Narahari Achar calculated the epic's events occurred around 3126 BCE. When archaeologists performed carbon dating on the underwater stones, the age perfectly aligns with that astronomical timeline. Even with matching dates, one final question remains. How do we confirm this is the specific city described in the texts? Archaeologists set out to test the myth's literal accuracy by measuring the entire perimeter of the underwater ruins. Modern scientific measurements of the city limits reach a specific total, exactly 12 yojanas. It is the same number recorded in the Bhagavata Purana. When the astronomical timeline, the carbon dating, and the physical perimeter all converge on these specific figures, the myth begins to look less like a story and more like a historical record. The ancient texts describe a violent end. Following a civil war, the sea swelled up and swallowed the city in a single moment. Standard geological theory suggests a slower process, arguing that sea levels rose gradually over 3,500 years to reclaim the land. However, the Mahabharata explicitly describes crashing waves that drowned the city while witnesses watched from the shore. This description suggests a sudden geological cataclysm, such as a tsunami or a seismic event, rather than a gradual flood. Ancient societies often used the language of curses to record and explain these catastrophic natural disasters. Today, the modern city of Dwarka sits on the shore. Thousands of people visit the temples here, looking out over the water where the original foundations rest. The archaeological findings at this site suggest we should reconsider the historical value of ancient epics. Thousands of years before Harappa, advanced societies were building grid-planned cities and managing international seaports. Our history is a cycle of rising and falling civilizations, often preserved only in the echoes of the legends they left behind.